Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and then examine the stories and the art. And this time, I'm going to go back to 1967 with Strange Adventures number 204, the 12-cent cover price, from DC Comics. And this is an anthology story, primarily science fiction, then it kind of moved over into some supernatural weird stuff with like the issue after this one had I think it is where it was started with Dead Men, introduced Dead Men, and other stuff, eventually going back to the all science fiction format. Of course, anthology title, various creators and characters. And this is a real rough copy. And the main story is here, and this is called The Crazy Quilt Man, which is kind of odd because that's the title on the cover. That's the title of the story, which is the lead story, even though it's the last one in there. Yet in the story, they never call him the Crazy Quilt Man. They call him the Patchwork Man. But anyway, we'll go over here and take a little look inside these pages. Go have a look at some unusual, odd, and strange adventures. And here you can see that cover. This is an unusual image. And I presume this is drawn by Bernard Bailey, who, as far as I can tell, was the penciler on the story. It looks like it. And I guess Bernard Bailey is known for a lot of his covers through the but through the 50s on a lot of the pre-code horror stuff. But before we get into this, I want to remind you that I can do private commissions of the characters that you love on these character cards, or if necessary, can do something larger, and we'll talk about that. Of your favorite characters, make nice gifts for yourself, for a friend, for a family member. Of comic book characters, science fiction characters, comic strip characters, video game characters, whatever it is that you need, you can contact me here at my email address. And we'll see what you need and what I can do for you. Okay, here are Strange Adventures. That's Strange Adventures number 204 from 1967. And I wanted to give before I get into that, I wanted to give a little shout out for some of the another YouTuber who I happen to like, is doing comics and the like, is this is mostly artwork. Robert Norton. Is that right? Yeah. Robert Norton. That's the name of his channel. There's DC Comics here, and it's Strange Adventures, American comic book anthology series published by DC Comics from 1950 to 1973 for a total of 244 issues. So that was a pretty long run. And it changed, evolved as the times changed. And of course, this would have, since it started in 1950, it would have, been in the that pre-code era when they probably may have gotten away with a little more stuff. And it was the first science fiction title from DC. The first issue was highlighted by an adaptation of the film Destination Moon. Which I remember that one. That's a classic. And Strange Adventures also launched the DC trend of the highly popular gorilla covers. And also, it also featured the last pre-Silver Age superhero, Captain Comet. And other series featured in the title over the years were stuff like Star Hawkins and The Atomic Knights. And while being a science fiction anthology, the series became a supernatural and fantasy title, starting with issue 202, which is just before this one. But this one is all just unusual science fiction stuff. And then 204 introduced Deadman. 205 introduced Deadman. And 217 featured the start of reprinting Adam Strange and the Atomic Knights, because previously Adam Strange had been in Mysteries in Space. See, and this would have been in that time period when I started reading and when I first became aware of Adam Strange and didn't realize it was all reprint work. And the three stories in here, only one I could find has a writing credit online for, and maybe he may have written all three stories, and that's Jack Miller. And Joe Certa did the art for the first story, and the second one was penciled by Gil Kane, and I don't know who did the inks on that, but that it was probably whoever he worked with a lot earlier on the early Green Lantern stories, because it really has a lot of the Green Lantern look to it, and to the art. And the last story, of course, was drawn by Bernard Bailey, and I presume he did his own inks. So let's take a quick look inside for this unbelievable Strange Adventures. Stop shooting, you fools! I'm not a monster! I'm as human as you are! Yep, and this is just on the cover image. It's kind of hard, a little bit difficult to read, even directly in front of you. Of course, this is a bizarre humanoid figure, and it just looks like a crazy quilt. I like to call them that. Patchwork of various colors and body parts, clothing torn. But here inside the first page is an ad for Bob Hope comics when they had a lot of those. Instant trips, instant trips, instant danger. Nice splash page, and of course, place involves spaceships and time and transporter and stuff like that. And notice the the spaceship here, which happens to, in the story, which happens to look a lot like the lunar module, which was a big thing at this time in history with the Apollo space program. And right off the bat, another ad. But here we get into our story. And this fellow has his special protective suit that he has made for himself with a special blaster gun that he's made for himself. And he's going to test this new gizmo that he has created for himself, which is basically a transporter. I'm sure this was inspired by the transporter from Star Trek. As he tries this new transporter device, it's supposed to send him somewhere, and, well, that's not where he's supposed to go. And then attacked by monsters or spacemen, and gets attacked by the monster. Then, zoop, he's pulled away, and he's in ancient Rome, different time, different location, but no one seems to see him. And he tries to save Caesar, and then he's transported away again, and Earth is being invaded. He tries to stop this explosion, kablooey. And he's back home. His transporter is all smashed. His suit is all smashed. And here we find out that he was, instead of transporting him physically someplace, he was being transported into the television signals, and he was living the adventures being presented on TV. And he appeared on TV as a ghostly image. That's why no one can see him. And it was a sweet little unusual story. Here we have, this is the man who discovered the West Pole. And this is a silly concept. This guy's a scientist, and something happens. This some kind of comet has made a strange nearby pass of the Earth, and then all of science has gone crazy. People leaping and just weird stuff happening, and he discovers that it has altered the magnetic field and such of the Earth, and he discovers that there's two new poles. One is the West Pole, and one is the East Pole. And he goes on this adventure trying to find it. Oh, and here we have this cool old ad for Lois Lane, in which Lois Lane has become an old witch. And so he discovers the pole. Oh, another double page ad. I like this one for Major Matt Mason. Of course, the space program was real big at the time, and I had these Major Matt Mason with the little space station, all those toys there when I was a kid. One has the few whole sets that I had, and here he discovers the West Pole. He does something to that. It makes things worse. So he has to do something else to correct it. All of science is put back in his hunky-dory. And overall, of course, this Kane art is the best art in the book. But this is some unusual stuff. The crazy quilt man, another scientist, Gizmo. He's going to die very shortly from some illness. He thinks this machine he's invented will help him, and it does something weird to him. He becomes this patchwork being with all kinds of, but he has unusual powers as well. And someone thinks it's monster attacked the scientist, but it's not. He tries to stop stuff. Everybody's shooting at him, and then he stops an alien invasion. Just happens to be an alien invasion right at that time, right in that place. And he stops the alien invasion. They think all the Earthmen are like him, and too powerful, and they go back. They retreat, and in the process, he winds up being turned back into his human form. And everything's A-okay. And it's an unusual story, and very coincidental. It's fine. All the stories are fine. Nothing overly spectacular. The storytelling, all that other stuff that's about all I can say. It's fine. It's DC Silver Age silliness and some fun reading, and that's about all I can really say about that. So I'm going to leave it right there, this time with Strange Adventures. I plan on doing another Strange Adventures in the next few weeks. But I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. What did you think about this very rough comic book? The staples are coming out. Some of the pages are coming out. And very rough copy. But it's a good reading copy. And what do you think of these unusual Silver Age science fiction weirdy fantasy stories? And the artwork. Pure fun. Pure Silver Age silly fun. And remember, everybody, comics are art.